Johnson here. She's our executive director. I've given this presentation to a few of you already, so it's going to sound the same probably, but that's okay. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for coming here. It's very important that everybody get all the information that they need. It's important that we get feedback and we answer questions. So you being here is amazing. Thank you. Over the past few years, we have surveyed the public. We've done surveys in 2018, 21, 22. We're trying to get as much feedback from the residents as possible. What we found is our facility is not meeting the needs of the community. So we're at the point where we either need extensive repairs and renovations, or we can build a new facility. So we took everybody's feedback and we made a plan. These are the identified objectives that we've come up with that patrons are asking for that we would like to provide. So we want designated areas for all age groups. We need study spaces, drive-up window, maker space, meet and greet area, a more accessible entrance. People have asked for better parking, and hopefully a village green, which can be used as a shared community gathering space. So here's the conceptual plan. About 2 years ago, we sat down with the village. Now, remember, we're two separate taxing districts, but we are neighbors. So we decided to sit down together. We wanted to stay in the heart of the village. We also have a shared goal, which is increasing parking in the downtown area, as well as opening up more green space in front of both the village hall and the library. Top left here is an image of our current aerial view. We have 27,000 square feet, and as you can see around the building, we have 0 square footage. We don't have opportunities to do any type of outdoor programming or events. Bottom right here is an image of the new site plan. So as you can see, the footprint has gotten smaller, but actually we're gaining 5,000 square feet inside. So I know it seems a little odd that it's gotten smaller, but it's actually gaining space inside. We're able to do that because currently we have 2,000 square feet in the basement that's unfinished and it's unusable space. By us being able to start over, we're able to dig out a full basement. So the basement will be utilized for administration, and we'll have a large meeting space down there. So we'll utilize every square foot, every square inch of the lower level. So the entire first and second floor will be entirely for patron use. So as you can see here, the open space in the front and on the top left, because of the building, the situation of the footprint, we are unable to offer that. So now I'm going to hand it over to Dan or Tiffany. All right, thank you so much.
Katie just went over the site plan, so I think I'll kind of fly through these a little bit. Here's the new library with the future green space that she was talking about. We have been working with the village and their planner, making sure that this is a holistic design for the future. As soon as this moves forward, the library will work with it.
One thing too, as you can see in the shape of the building, what we actually did was we started actually from the north side down. So we actually made sure that we retained the drive that we needed for City Hall. It's kind of a municipal drive. Then we really wanted to make sure we had room for the book drive or book pickup on the first floor. So you'll see the first floor sort of steps back, but the building shifts. So we opened up a front portion of it as the patio, and then we opened up a back portion of it to fit the book drive up. So when you see the plan kind of has this kind of move to it, it really was a functional design to make sure that we had coverage for the book drop and then coverage for the outdoor patio space. Oh, and then we also have a youth garden here that's located to the west, and then the lower level light well for admin. Since the admin is going to be on the first floor, we want to make sure they have sunlight too. So, and again, when you're talking about using every inch of the inside of the building, we're actually using every inch of the site plan now also.
Okay, this is the first floor plan. So the parking is over here and some future parking down here. And the entry to the building is on the corner. So it'll be closer, the entrance will be closer than it is now to the parking that's over here. Once you come in, you will come into a lobby with new books and vending, and staff will greet you at the door. That'll be the first thing you see, whereas now it's sort of more of a vestibule and it takes a while to see somebody. You will also see your way upstairs to the adult collection. And then it'll be obvious that the youth is here, which you may have seen in the renderings, but you'll also see as we move forward. There's some behind the scenes stuff back here with the circulation staff here and the drive up book drop. So all the books will kind of come into this workroom and they will be able to check the books in and sort them quickly. Coming into the youth department, all of the seating is along the windows, and then we put the book stacks behind that. So we're able to take advantage of the natural light for the areas where people are sitting. The books, the older kids' books are right here. The youngest kids' picture books are right here. The kind of age gradation goes from youngest to oldest this way. And this is a special zone for middle school, something that you don't really have right now. There will be a program room that's larger than what you have right now with lots of storage for all the activities and crafts and furniture. There's single-use restrooms and a nursing room in the back of the space. And again, lots of hands-on activities, lots more room for it than what you have today. And then this is a patio here for seating that's right off of this vending area and the new books area. So you'll see it tagged right here, vending, self-checks and holds and new materials all in the lobby.
There was one additional question that I received actually as we were talking over by the plans. This portion of the building in the back, which we kind of call core spaces, kind of those spaces that want to be enclosed. So actually this entire back of the building more or less is solid. I know there's a lot of discussion about glass in the building. And then portions along the fire stair and the elevator are all solid around here also. This side is open, but again, where we have spaces that need to be enclosed, we are not enclosing that portion of the building in glass. So that was one question I already got today.
Okay, so this is the second floor plan. So you'll be coming up to the second floor right here, the stair and the elevator here. So you'll come up, you'll see somebody. The teen and maker are right at the front, so that kind of the noisiest things are up towards the front of the space, and it gets more quiet as you go back. Again, we're taking advantage of the natural light where the seating is, and then the collection is pushed deeper into the building. The maker space and the teens sort of connect. There'll be lots of 3D printers and different equipment in the maker space. You can move these tables around, and then the teens are kind of a hangout zone with their collection outside of the room so that adults can access their collection while they're in the room and everybody feels comfortable. There's study rooms along this side with windows, and then study rooms on this side with windows. And this is the entire adult collection here. We have a fireplace, this in the more quiet zone, a two-sided fireplace, and lots of two-person seating. A lot of times you'll have four-person tables and you'll have one person at them. So we're going to have seating that really kind of maximizes available seating for people so that everybody can feel comfortable. Also, there'll be lots more power than what you're used to. All the tables will have power, and the lounge seats will have power. And then also on the second floor, there's a balcony, so there'll be outdoor space for people who want to sit outside. Computers are right by the desk, so they can get help quickly. And then this is the lower level, and again, you access the lower level with the stair and the elevator. You come down, there's kind of a lobby for this space, then you can access the meeting room, so if somebody needs to wait for somebody, they can wait outside of the room. The room is divisible into two, like this one, but it's a little bit better shape. There's restrooms, there's a conference room and a friend's book sale room. And then this is the dividing line of public versus staff. So this is where all the staff will be located with an open workroom and offices along the perimeter. And then they will get natural light through a light well that you're seeing right here. And then they can sit out here and sit.
There's also, and then this stair, which is actually buried in admin, will actually be used for a communicating stair for staff to go up to the first floor and second floor. The elevator that is located here, but it does allow them to communicate kind of privately between the three floors as they need to. Sure. So I think one of the biggest ideas that we had talked about a lot with both the library board and the staff was the idea of having the library kind of be on display. I know that's kind of a simple idea in terms of functional library, but it seems like if we talk about marketing, or we talk about activities, or we talk about engaging in the space, we really want people to be able to see what's happening inside the building. So this building kind of acts somewhat opposite than what we're hoping the new building will. So as you approach this building, the entry isn't always clear. There's a lot of solid walls. And what we really want to happen is from the moment you hit the parking lot, the moment you're walking down the street, the moment you're north of the building along either the train and or in your car, that you actually see activity at this space. It's a community building. It wants to be engaging. It wants to be open. It wants to be inviting. So the main idea here on the south elevation was to have different transparencies of glass. So we see lots of glass in lots of different libraries. Northbrook Library is a great example that we were talking about. Tons of buildings downtown. So insulated glass units are able to be insulated to a degree that will not make the building overly hot or overly cold. Per comments of our last meeting that we have, if you see in the images, actually, there's a horizontal sunshade that will shade the bottom half of the glass, cooling it down a bit and actually bouncing light back up into the ceiling of the higher spaces to let light get as far back into that floor plate as possible. The reason we're doing that is really sustainable also, is that we want the natural light in the building to be able to light the building for as much of the day as possible, especially throughout the summer months. So there's an energy code that takes care of making sure that the building is efficient. We have lots of ideas that we've talked with the library board and staff about in terms of sustainability. Glass has come a long way in terms of technology. Keeping out UV, which actually heats the floors and heats the materials, we can bounce that back out before it gets inside. Automated shades along the whole interior of the building. They'll go down automatically when the sun becomes too hot. They'll go up automatically in the winter when we want sun to come in and heat the space. So again, conceptual ideas about having the library be on display, sustainable ideas about having the building be daylit as much as possible so we can turn the lighting off and rely on kind of what the planet's giving us for free. And then third is to really, again, make sure that as Tiffany was talking about, all the spaces are light filled, all the spaces look welcoming, and the activities and community center, which is the library, is always on display no matter where you're at, kind of approaching it from anywhere in the footprint of the building. So this is going past the church. We did find inspiration from the church in terms of the white materials on the building. We do like the way that the building looks very clean. And then you'll notice that in the renderings, it doesn't always show up extremely well, but there is different transparencies of glass. So the building won't be all clear glass. They make a thing called frit, which actually can go on the glass. It provides for some shading, but it actually also reflects light back out. So we will be looking and studying that as part of the final design of the building. So here you'll see almost translucent panels. Here you'll see colored panels that also are somewhat translucent. And then in the clear glass, we have either clear glass and or fritted glass, which will provide texture and also additional shading as we need on the interior. This was always really important to, especially considering this building is the entry. So when we look at this slide, we really want to make sure you understand where the entry is, really intuitively walking up to the building. So as you come up, there's a slight canopy that kicks out from the building because the building is kind of sleek. And there's a 2-story atrium space that has a skylight above, and then this 2-story wood wall. Currently we kind of have natural materials kind of shown throughout as a palette for the building. We feel those are more timeless. I think if sometimes materials get a little too fancy, we actually feel like they can lose their edge after 10 or 15 years. And we see this as a 20, 30-year building and want to make sure that the materials we're proposing have that longevity with it also. Again, you're seeing the ceiling. So high ceiling is on the second floor, allowing that light in, coverage at the entry. And then also the roof actually continues out, as you can see in the roof plan, and provides shading for the lower half of youth and actually the upper half of the adult floor. So when you're wanting direct sunlight, if you're sitting reading a book, you can come to this half of the building. If you want a more shaded, indirect experience of sunlight, you can move to the other half of the building. And that's one of the best parts is it allows for you to have those different experiences within a single space. Just a closer up of the entry. I think we're really happy with it. We find it exciting. This is the east elevation of the building. Yes, east elevation of the building. What we've done here is actually, so the north does not need much shading, right? North light is great. west and east need more vertical sunshades because the sun is kind of coming in like this, and then south needs horizontal. So what we've done here is actually installed a series of vertical shades along the east elevation, sorry. We could bring these up a bit if we wanted to, but in the design right now, we wanted to be really clear that this elevation will have shading devices on the west, which can be some of the hottest times of the year. So you do see through it when you approach it, and then from each side oblique, it'll be a little more shaded. The book drop-off was really incredibly important to us, to both the board, the library, and to us. The site was actually kind of tight because the village wanted that green space, which is really wonderful, right? It stitches the entire site together. It's a really beautiful open green space. So that took up portions of the front, and then the back was taken up by the idea of the book drop. So if you see the site plan again, I know I'm repeating myself, but that idea of using every square inch of the site is reflected in getting a nice large radius for larger trucks, larger cars to be able to make it around and not have to have traffic jams. We really like this idea of, again, library on display. So the maker and the team, really active spaces, both during the day and at the evening. As people are driving past and riding down the train, they'll see the building as they come across. The outdoor patio space, we have this little green wall. It really was an idea that there's going to be a green space out there in front of that for the village. We wanted a little bit of privacy, but we wanted to feel part of the village plan also. There is a slight elevation change. So the green wall helped us kind of level that out. There's about a 3-foot change in elevation from the west side of the building to the east side of the building. So by setting the front entry kind of low to make sure people could get in, we kind of had to bury the back of the building, and which allowed us to have this kind of sunken patio. No, it's okay. I'm just easily distracted. The youth garden. So there's a space between Village Hall and the new library, which right now is kind of used. It has a lot of sort of terrain to it, and it's also used as kind of circulation. The site actually has a lot of circulation on it that doesn't really bring you to a lot of places. It kind of just brings you around in a circle. So the idea was to sort of set a space apart outside the youth area for youth programming outdoor. I think if anything positive in terms of library design came out of COVID, one is Zoom meetings, which is actually somewhat terrible, but somewhat good. And then 2 is outdoor programming space. We have put all the buildings that we've been working on the last 2 or 3 years all have this desire or requirement to have outdoor programming space for both youth and adult. We don't get a ton of great weather throughout the year, and people really want to spend that time outside as much as possible. So I think the ability to have kids outside after school, kids outside during school, younger kids, older kids, next to the adult patio. But this idea of, again, using every square inch of the site for programming for the library, I think really sort of amps up the usefulness for the entire community.
Okay, this is a view in the lobby. So here we're seeing the new books, the vending area, the first people that you see when you walk in the door, self-checks and returns. Here's just kind of another view of that, looking out again in the vending seating area. We just wanted this to be a welcoming area that can be a little bit a louder space again, like I mentioned, upstairs and some.
You can actually, and you can start to notice the different translucency of the glass. That it is not just flat, clear glass. I mean, we want to make sure that everybody's really aware of that. So there is glass that provides passive shading, and passive shading is the best you can have. It doesn't break, right? And it's just ideas of simple things that we could do to keep some of the heat out of the building.
This is a view looking back to the outdoor seating area and the youth gate. So an obvious entry into the youth. Here we've come in and turned around. So there's staff here right when you come in and enter. And again, as I mentioned, seating all along the windows. And right behind us is the middle school area. Here we're standing along the glass, looking at all the seating, and then the youngest kids are back here, and we're just kind of depicting hands-on activities. This is sort of a market here, Lego tables. Here are the fiction and nonfiction books for the kids, their computers, and then that's the middle school space, and then their program room.
And one of the important things too about the difference, I keep interrupting, the flipping of the youth and adult. So in this building, they use upstairs, right? So everyone with a stroller, actually walking in the building, we weren't even sure that
Yeah.
it was the second floor the first time we met with Sam. So intuitively knowing first where the stair is when you walk in to go to the second level. Second is having the ability for moms and dads who come with their kids to be able to walk in the library and go directly into youth services. Going upstairs, going up an elevator, kind of wrangling your kids to get them back out, it becomes troublesome. So again, we want to make sure it's as easy as possible for people of all ages to enjoy the library. And it actually keeps the youth in the lobby, which are both loud, kind of next to each other on the floor.
We have furniture of different scales for all the different age groups, probably 3 different scales of furniture in here, as well as seating for parents, and likely fairly easy to move so that it can be reconfigured. This is just a close-up of the middle school space, so we want something that they can identify with and that's special just for them. So kind of a hangout zone for them. And then this is a view into the little kids area. They're right along the patio, and then we're just showing all different kinds of hands-on activities for them. This is a little marketplace that we are showing that kind of can change into a puppet theater or market, and then seating for them in the picture books over here. And then there, this you can kind of see through the window that garden that Dan was talking about earlier. Here we've come upstairs, just gotten off the stair in the elevator, so you're starting to see the teen collection and the teen room and maker over here. Seating along here, computers, and then you get more into the quiet zone that way. So again, all the seating along the windows and collection pulled back. Here we're just kind of making our way down. Turning our heads so you can see out the balcony and the computers in the seating area. Just a little overlook. Seating, and then you'll see the fireplace. So this is meant to be the quietest area of the library over here. And this is sort of the 2-person tables that I was mentioning before. Another view looking the other way. And then study rooms. So we have study rooms of different sizes. They'll all have technology. We haven't gotten into furnishings yet. We're depicting maybe different types. So one where you can sit in lounge chairs and talk, and one where you'll have a table, whiteboards, monitors, collaborative rooms. There'll be 2-person rooms and 4-person rooms, and then a larger room in the lower level. And here you're seeing the teen space. So this is a hangout for high school kids, gaming, and just different kinds of seating so they can gather. And this is just a view the other way with computers, their own computers in the room. And then this is the maker. So there's room for display, equipment surrounding the room. You can see it as you're driving up to the library. So it's going to be an exciting thing to look at and look out of. And then just tables meant to be kind of banged on. So here, like you can see. So this room is meant for creating and being messy. And then now we're into the lower level. So this is the divisible meeting room, and we're standing out in the little lobby area. Then we're seeing the book sale room. This might be able to use for storage and for public book sale as well. And then this is a public meeting room here. Okay, and then this is a night shot.
Yeah, so again, really big idea about community and library on display. I know we keep repeating that, but it was one of the most driving concepts. I think really wanting to letting people, because everyone visually engages, right? As you go past things and you look at things, as you drive your car past stores, you see inside the window, you see what's for sale. That same idea is what's happening here with the library in terms of marketing. We want people to understand activity inside, what's going on inside, the idea of coming inside and seeing programming, visibility really clear, and then intuitive wayfinding, right? So you come to the library, you see the entry, you know where to come in, you drive past the library, you know where the entry is, you know where to come in. You can see where the zoning is for loud and quiet. So we really wanted to end on this slide in terms of the presentation to kind of show just this conceptual idea of having the library be this real beacon on the site. Okay.
Okay. At this point in the evening, we'd like to open it up to questions for our architecture team. I did put out slips of paper for everyone to fill their questions out. So if you have them ready to go, I will read them off. But if you're also comfortable using the microphone and asking your own question, I'm happy to hand the microphone to you. We just want to make sure that anyone who is watching live can hear as well. Okay. Want me to? Okay.
Well, I had 2 questions about the thing, but then something else. Do I have to press a button here? Okay. I had questions about the glass, et cetera, and I still do, but it suddenly dawned on me, I have the right to vote, like in the primary. Do I have to sign up someplace else to vote for this thing? Where do I come to vote?
Where you always vote. It's part of the referendum.
It's on the ballot.
Yeah, the referendum is going to be on the
On
ballot.
April 4th.
So when you vote for your rest of your town.
Okay, I think I'm going to have to look into that. I mean, I did,
If you have the language, that the ballot, it might be worth reading, how the language will appear on the ballot.
I think I've lost that piece of paper. Okay. Yeah, I have 200.
Just so anyone curious about voting, this is on the April 4th election. So if you vote in person, if you vote by mail ahead of time, if you vote early, vote however you want, like you would for any consolidated or primary or general election. So, and that's a good point. This is the ballot language we have coming up. So when you go to vote, however you vote, you'll see this language somewhere on your ballot. Shall the bonds of the Roselle Public Library District, DuPage and Cook Counties, Illinois, in the amount of $22 million be issued for the purpose of erecting a library building to replace the existing Roselle Public Library building and furnishing necessary equipment and acquiring electronic data storage and retrieval facilities in connection therewith. I just want to make a note about that language. Public library districts have very few options when we put questions on a ballot like that. So this is just legalese we have to put out there saying we're going to have the facility built, we're going to furnish it, we're going to equip it, and we're going to have networking and server rooms and data inside of it. Okay. Marilyn, your other questions?
When I voted, okay, in the primary, it was by mail. Okay, so they mailed me the ballot. I went to wherever I went, filled out the 2-page ballot and dropped it in the mailbox. Okay, but that ballot was already mailed to me. How do I get the ballot for this?
It will be mailed to you with everything else. It will be on one ballot.
And
You'll vote for.
when will it be mailed to me?
I think they're out.
I already got my email.
Maybe I have it too. Maybe I have it too. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
If you have the mail-in ballot at your house,
I'm pretty sure I do now that you mentioned it.
this question is at the very
Bottom. Gotcha.
of
I
it.
do
So
have it.
you have
I
to
do.
look at all of the people. There are people that are running for Board of Trustees in Roselle, for the library board, and then down at the bottom is this question.
Yeah, I got one piece of paper from one guy who was running, but I can't find the other 3. So anyway, all right.
Something else.
What building have you designed with this much glass?
We currently do not have a building with this much design, but Tiffany and I have worked on buildings in the past that have our glass buildings. So the city of Chicago is full of glass buildings. The Northrop, like I said, Northrop Public Library is a really good example of a building that's full of glass. We see glass being used more and more in libraries in terms of a lot of the things that I talked about earlier. There will be portions of the building that are solid. There will be portions of the glass that are not transparent. But the glass allows us that ability to put light where we want it and to sort of edit the light where we don't.
Recent libraries that we've done with very large expanses of glass are Brookfield Public Library and Indian Trails Public Library. Wheeling. Yeah.
Along those lines,
these other buildings with a lot of glass, how does that affect your heating and air conditioning bills? And do you have some results? Do you have some data on what the air conditioning and heating will be for this new library?
Sorry. So currently the building has not been engineered, and when it's engineered, we can actually look at the totals for the cost of both heating and cooling. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there for a second. There are things that we could do. First of all, there's an energy code that requires the building to meet a standard of insulation value, R value, U value, that we can't get around. The building has to perform to a level that allows it to be permitted as part of, again, the energy code for Illinois and for federally. So again, there is a minimal design standard. Second is there are things that we can do for passive, and those are some of the things I talked about earlier. So we did include a horizontal sunshade that will shade the bottom half below it and bounce light above it. We do want to get as much light as we can into the building. Again, the building is not going to be just all clear glass. I think if we did all clear glass everywhere, we can never pass energy code. So the building has not been engineered. We don't know the total loads on the building now, but buildings that we have done in the past that do have, again, these large expanses of glass. Indian Trails has geothermal heating, things like that we use to assist the mechanical system. But to our, and we can find this out, but to our knowledge, we have not heard that it has extensive heating and or cooling loads on it.
Indian Trails is a good example because that was an existing building where we did a gut renovation and an addition, and we added quite a bit of glass. Those energy bills would be going down because it's all new technology in there. The lighting's all new, the mechanical system's all new, and all of them take less energy than systems that were used when this building was built. The codes have also are more stringent than they were when this building was built. So there is no reason why energy bills would go up with a new building, no matter what we do.
I find it hard to believe that sheet of glass
It's
is more efficient than a wall.
It's 2 sheets of glass. It's 1-inch insulated glazing units, and it also has film, a low E coating.
And in our value,
Mhm.
insulated glass unit
Mhm.
is less than a solid wall, you're correct. But again, the entire building is not going to be solid glass. We have to meet an energy code, and parts of the building will be insulated.
Like, the building has 3 sides of glass.
Sure.
It's mostly glass. So.
It's,
But
I mean,
None of us
it
live
is,
in glass buildings, so-
but this isn't a home. I mean, it's a public building, and there are lots of public buildings that are all glass.
And there's a lot of passive.
I'm concerned about the cost of air conditioning and heating, gas will go quite high.
There's a lot of.
And has the board allowed for energy bills to go higher?
I would be, to support Tiffany's thing, I would be really very, very surprised if the energy bills in this new building went higher, just due to general efficiency than this current building. This current building is not efficient, and I'm sorry, but it's not. The walls are not insulated that well. It's not an energy efficient building. There are differences between solid walls and glass. I agree with you, but a solid wall building isn't really that inviting as a community building. There's an idea of having the library be on display. We think active areas should be on display. We think active areas that are not, we can be more solid in terms of the expression of the building.
Okay, I'm going to get to you guys in the corner. I just want to read off a question. How will you prevent printed material, so books, right, book spines, from being degraded and damaged by the extreme sunlight exposure?
The books are actually placed deeper in the building, so they're not in direct sun.
And the low E
Yeah.
coating that Tiffany
Yep.
talked about is what stops
Yep.
the UV, which is
Yep.
what degrades books.
Yeah, we haven't had that in any buildings where we put new glass in.
At all.
Just as an example, if you wanted to see the effect of glass from when the building, so from 1980, the corner that faces our parking lot today, all of the books are bleached. And that's a small amount of glass. And that's time, but that's also glass that was built in 1980. All right, Marilyn, I'm gonna get to your second question. You mentioned the shades for summer. Will they also be automatic all year round
Yes.
in winter conditions?
Fully automated.
We've had a really mild winter.
No, fully automated. In the winter, you actually want Yes, they're fully automated.
If the sun is coming in at an angle that's blinding, they're going to calm down and ease that on your eyes.
I'm not worried about that. I don't know about you, but when the
Do you mind?
temperature's down around 0 in my house, the view is all this. I haven't had to do that this week.
A couple of comments from your question about the glass. I think there's two questions there. One is the aesthetics of glass in Roselle. I mean, you know, our village has got the Roselle brick right here all over the place, you know, from fire department to the police department to the village hall. So I would thought that there could have been some acknowledgement of that brick course, that coursework into this design being all white. So that's the first question. And then maybe some of the glass with a partial 1, 2, or 3 feet of brick as well in there, as well as glass above. So I think that it's kind of jarring in Roselle to see this glass building come in that's really not typical of Roselle. Not that we're old fuddy-duddies or we're behind the times. It's just it kind of surprises us. But I understand the reason for the transparency. The second question is regarding the energy efficiency of the building. Have you thought about the solar panels on top of the building? Have you looked at the footprint where the sun comes in? I know in this room, a number of us have solar panels in the house right now, and our bills have gone way down, way down. So respond to that. And finally, anything about geothermal type of way to bring the heating and air conditioning down. So answer those, please.
We've talked to the board about all that, and really, in past projects in Indian Trails, we wrote grants for the library, and actually the PVs were paid for more or less by a DOE grant, and the geothermal was partially paid for by a grant from the state of Illinois. And we will be exploring all those options for your library. Absolutely.
Well, how come, can't you do that before you do this like this with the $1 million loan?
We're confident that it won't be, because, I'm sorry.
Marilyn, you're right. It is a big ask. We know that. That's why, we haven't budgeted in this project for things like that we know we can get funding elsewhere. Sorry.
You mentioned that this building was going to be a 20 to 30-year building. Glass integrity will start losing its seal and stuff within 20 years. So first we're going to build a glass box. And now we have to, before these bonds are retired, think about how we're going to replace this glass. So you're having a lot of issues with the integrity. Glass is not a forever material. Brick is more of a forever material. I had to replace all the windows in my house, all 30 of them. I have very good windows that are now 2 years old. I can tell you there is a huge difference with drafts and stuff. So
That's
you're,
actually a perfect example. So your old windows did not perform.
no, the frames rotted. It
Those
had
are
nothing to do
windows,
with the glass.
But actually, it has to do with the way the windows drain. It has to do with how much cold they let into themselves.
It had to do with the builder using the cheapest product online to get
And
his
that's
houses
not-
out.
And that's not this.
Okay,
That's not this.
but
Your
you
example
are
of
going to have this,
upgrading-
you're going to have this glass break its seals at some point. You're going to have little kids running around into it. You're going to have them putting their
We have-
fingerprints
we
all
have
over it.
buildings that are 20 years old that I would say maybe 2 panes have broken.
Okay, but that is a possibility. So you said 20 to 30 years for the new building. So then we're going to revisit this
I'm
in
not
20
saying
to
the
30
building
years
is
and build
replaced in
another
20
new
to 30
building.
years. I'm saying
Just
that
for the people online.
my point, I'm sorry, look at me defensive. My point was that the materials that we're proposing for the interior of the building and the exterior are more timeless than materials that are chosen to be trendy within 10 years. So when I talked about that wood at the entry to the building, I was really stressing upon the fact that that wood will still have a relevance in 20 to 30 years. This building will be lasting much further than 20 or 30 years.
And I just want to make sure that everybody understands that these are not residential windows. It can't be compared to anybody's home. It's a much different warranty. It's a much different material. They're aluminum. It's not at all comparable to a residential window. It's more comparable to what you see downtown in the buildings that have been there that Mies van der Rohe put up. I mean, it's the more current technology. What?
That was 1/4-inch single pane
No.
glass in Mises.
Even in,
Let's look at the Thompson Center in the middle of Chicago. They want to tear that down because it's energy inefficient.
It's a 15-story open space with nothing in it. I know, but it's impossible. That's impossible to heat.
And brick buildings need to be maintained too. I mean, all buildings need to be
Yeah.
maintained. We do not see this as being a different maintenance issue for the library than
And I
another.
think the board
Okay.
asked us to look at the aesthetic of the building. This is not an aesthetic that was derived in a vacuum.
I'm stepping in
Yeah.
real quick. So we didn't invite them to come here, not today, but we didn't hire them or have them come in and say, this is our idea. We approached them. We knew that they are very competent. We really, really like the buildings that they have designed. We were confident. We visited their library. So that's why we had them come in. When they first came to us, we sat down with them because we heard feedback from residents. And then we gave the architects, them, what we've heard and what we've wanted. So I promise you, they didn't just come up with this on a whim. We sat down with them. They did their due diligence. They sat with staff. They sat with the board. The board relayed information from the public. So I just want everybody to know that they are doing, they came up with this design based on what we asked. We said we want inviting, we want bright, we want colorful, we want something different from what we have now. In this municipal complex, it's just a big mishmash of brick. I talked to people who didn't even know we had a library. I talked to people who said, I don't know where the library is. And that's so sad. That's so sad. So we want it to be a piece of art. We said, let's stand out. Let's be beautiful. And this is what they came up with. So I just wanted to step in and tell you guys that they're not just coming in from out of town and just making a glass building. So please don't blame them. I mean, this is what we asked for. So I just wanted to relay that. Yes.
Thank you very much. That was very kind.
In my townhouse, this lady was talking about, she had to replace glass. Okay, when I moved into my townhouse, it was in like September. By December, it looked like the window was pregnant. Okay, and so we put storm windows in it, and now it's like that. And this is 40 years ago, and it's fine. I mean, now it's 40-year-old glass, but
Sure.
you're telling me this is a different quality glass. At least that's what I'm hearing.
Absolutely.
I want to make sure what I was hearing was correct.
Thank you for being here. I think it's a wonderful presentation and a terrific look for our town. So I'm very excited about it. We moved here a number of years ago from Oak Park, and we've already gone through this process where we had to pass a referendum for a brand new main library. There were 3 libraries in Oak Park, and a lot of glass and wildly popular. Some outside space, wildly popular. It's just worked out beautifully, just beautifully. So I'm excited about this. I do have a question about how long is it going to take to put up this new building, and maybe for the president of the board to talk about what do we do to get our books while there's no library? Is this going to be a trailer out in the parking lot?
I'll talk to that first. We will find a place. We are already monitoring rental locations, and that's storefronts, that's warehouses. We're keeping an eye on the state of things in Roselle. If this passes, then we'll find a place that fits us. And if we find no place that fits us in Roselle, maybe we will put up some trailers. We will not stop Roselle Public Library operations.
How long is this building process expected to take?
So it will take about a year to draw and get out to bid. Construction would start soon after that, and construction would probably take about a year.
This is being able to start for 2 years.
It does take time, yes, to get there.
As you may know, in Roselle, we have been focusing on becoming a greener community. We just became part of the Greenest Region Compact. And I'm not an architect, but I'm curious about LEED certification and if this will be a LEED. Could you talk a little bit about that and if this will be a LEED certified building?
Yeah, so, certified is when you're building, I'm sorry. I don't typically need a microphone. LEED certified is when your building reaches a certain level of sustainability, either through specification of materials, like the materials that you use, what you do with when you tear the building down, the debris, and then also the materials that you use to construct the building, and then also the performance of the building also. So there's 3 or 4 different facets that go into a LEED certified building. LEED certification costs quite a bit of money just in upon itself to get that certification for the building. Typically, we design, especially in terms of performance and material usage, we believe most of our buildings could potentially be certified, but typically it's up to the library if they want to pay that extra dollars to have the building itself be certified. So we'll be designing towards that performance aspect of it. But again, it's just added cost to the building that at sometimes can't be justified. Absolutely. And those are the things that we'll be shooting for. So the idea of PVs, the idea of geothermal, all of that is on the table. Our engineers are well qualified to design systems that even if we don't have PVs today, we can apply for grants down the road and still add them back into the building. Actually, Indian Trails was a year later. We designed it specifically to be able to be expanded upon in terms of sustainability.
Just because geothermal has come up, as I've talked to the engineer we've been working with to estimate, I want to bring it back to it's not just a library building. We also have a campus around it we want to achieve. Part of that green space, not just it's a beautiful green space to add programming and green, right, to Green Roselle. If you have geothermal, you have to have open space to build, to bury the system. So we need space to, if we can get it, if it makes sense for us, we would need the space nearby to bury the geothermal system next to the building. Okay. Yeah. So a question I have, will only handicap parking be on the other side of the street? No, we do hope with the changing of the footprint to have a parking space closer, but still between us and the I'm pointing over here where we have like between us and the church, where we have the cul-de-sac now. So we would hopefully add more accessible stalls there, and we would still have the community parking space we own today across the street, where we would have at least the minimum number of handicap accessible spaces.
Actually, don't drive in and out. It's not a cul-de-sac anymore. Actually, it's going to be continuing through to the other parking lot. That's why I was trying to get to the site plan. Sorry, I'm not sure if you see it, but the cul-de-sac, I'm getting way out of range. It's not a cul-de-sac anymore. Actually, you continue through to the other parking lot. Yeah. And that was a lot of urban planning done by the village's or landscape architects. Super talented group. Sorry.
Any question?
Are you going to have ballards around the front of the glass? Because there seems to be a propensity of people driving their vehicles through glass these days. And I'm sure if you talk to the folks in the village of Bloomingdale, where the car is still stuck in the bank that ran up onto the gas main and caused an explosion. So how are you, you're talking, it's a tight space, it's going to be a tight turn.
We're not talking about tight spaces, actually. He was asking if it was too tight. It's actually a pass-through zone, and absolutely.
And I'm going to hand it to Katie
That would
to
full protection for the building.
Katie can talk to that.
Sure. We understand that's a concern, and obviously we care about our community and want to make sure everybody's safe. We sat down with both our police chief and fire chief, and we had a great meeting. It was really informative. We made sure to run all these concerns past them, and yes, they have come up with those plans. They advised us not to share all of our safety plans. Obviously, we don't want to give out all that information, but yes, large planters, which can be beautiful, beautification and flora. So something like that would provide safety as well as hopefully provide some beautification. Yes, good question.
Oh, you had a question, sorry.
I do. Explain what goes into geothermal design.
So, no, it's simple, I promise. So what geothermal does is sometimes in the winter you have to heat the water a lot because it comes out of the ground at 54 degrees, right? It comes out of your water main at 54 degrees. A geothermal will shorten that delta between getting it to heat up in the winter and cool down in the summer. So instead of having to make it from 54 all the way to 120, it shrinks that delta between the two. The second thing is it goes into the ground when the water comes back freezing and chilling or too hot. It lets, instead of having to cool it mechanically, the ground puts it back at 54 degrees. So you really want it to be in that middle range. In 54, I couldn't explain that poorly in the beginning, but we want to shrink the amount of distance between having to heat it too high and cool it too low. So the geothermal puts it back in the middle, simply put. So it takes your faucet up in the middle and you heat and cool it from there instead of cooling it from being super hot and heating it from being super cold. I hope that makes sense. It's easier to make, you know what I'm saying? Oh, sure. PV. So what is a PV? Photovoltaic. So you can do heating on your roof for plumbing, for water, or you can do it for electricity. PV is electricity.
I'll just say we have a few more minutes allotted for the Q&A portion. I'll-
Just a question regarding like tornado and weather awareness.
So just general tornado awareness.
The basement, I was assuming the basement would be the main area for tornado enclosure, safety in the building. It's below grade and below a slab. So, and it doesn't have any windows except for on the admin side, but there's a division between the meeting room side and the admin side.
We'd be a lot safer in this new building versus this building.
Yeah.
Let's just put it that way.
There's plenty of room in the basement.
You had mentioned that a year to design and a year to build. Based on what's happening in the construction industry right now, there is no way a one-year build is even remotely feasible. It's probably going to be double that.
Well, we completed Brookfield in that amount of time, Brookfield Library, sorry, which is a similar size. This will be happening in a year from now. Usually what we have been doing lately is making sure that the lead times of the items that need to come on time, we're checking them before they start construction. So that is something that we would keep tabs on as this building is being constructed so that there's not a lot of sit and wait time periods that you've been seeing. Yeah, I mean, lately the things that are delayed, glass is one thing that has been delayed. So that has to, yeah, mechanical equipment. We have a project now where, and we would have to consider this, like the elevators are taking a year. So some things we might bid out early so that things can proceed. But we always suggest don't start until you're sure you're going to have everything at the right time rather than sitting and waiting, especially since the library is going to have to be located elsewhere. Yeah.
Carol, you had a question? I'm going to hand you the mic.
Hi there. I just wanted to mention, my daughter found your website. I believe that's the name of your company there in the corner. And so if people don't know, I mean, this is a company that does libraries. Like on your website, I like the A to Z tab, and there's probably dozens and dozens of pictures of other libraries that you've done. So, yeah, so that's what you do.
Okay, we have time for a few more questions.
You asked me how many glass buildings we have.
Yeah.
No, it is. I have a silly line of glass buildings. Tiffany's absolutely right.
Does the 22 million pay for everything? Are you confident that everything will be done with this 22 million? I mean, including moving the whole library into storage and then moving it back out of storage and rental space and.
Typically work with a construction manager to get pricing because they have at the time pricing of materials and equipment, much like you were describing. So we went through and talked about having to demolish an existing building, having to move out of the existing building, having to rent space, having to lease space, durations, how long it's going to take to build it, availability of materials. And we are confident. We actually revisited it once more before coming back. And at this time, we are confident that the building is all-inclusive for the dollar amount, to our best of knowledge. You have to say that. That we can deliver the building on budget and schedule.
We have healthy contingencies in the budget. So we have, it's called design contingency for any unforeseen conditions up to a certain percentage. And then we have construction contingency once it starts being built. So that helps us with our costs.
We also had a question, what's the cost to upgrade this building? If we wanted to throw everything, all the various features into this structure, gut it and start over, our estimator who did the same project estimated up to 21 million.
I'm going to push it a little further with you guys, just because what the heck, we're all here. So we've talked about design and about the glass envelope, and people are kind of reluctant to go along with this glass building. You get that feeling yet? You get a little pushback. So as you're going through design, 30%, 60%, how open are you to any changes that we would ask you to make less glass or more brick or different color? You know what I'm saying? How open are you to really modifying plans based upon enough squawking from us?
No, it's not squawking. It's very important input. I'll hand it to Katie.
Yes, obviously the glass is a huge concern. I can tell you I've been giving presentations for a very long time. I've done maybe 16 or 17 of these different boards and organizations, and I can tell you 80% of the people I've spoken to are concerned about the glass, and for all of the reasons everybody has brought up this evening. If this were to pass and we were to change the building completely, those who expressed how much they loved the building and they voted April 4th, yes, because of the building, by us pulling the rug from, out from underneath them, I feel that wouldn't be right. Would we be able to change things slightly? Yes. Based on the feedback we've received from the community, I feel we might need to make some changes. I can't promise that, but it might be something that we consider. But that would be a board decision, and that I only speak for myself. There are 7 of us. I would, talk to Dan and Tiffany and their expertise, maybe see some different options, but we definitely cannot change the entire design because we have, worked hard on this. It's been a long road. This has been a lot of work. I promise we have not done this on a whim. We did not just wake up and say, we're going to do this. It's been years. So we have put time and thought into this. And I just want everybody to know that, we've heard you. So no, it's good. No, your feedback is good because that, could determine what we do if this passes, what we do with the building. So it's very important that, we receive this feedback. Yes, ma'am.
I like what I thought I was hearing just a minute or 6 ago about going out for grants instead of loans. I thought I heard that it was a good idea that you were thinking. Finally, it almost sounded like it was like you didn't think of it until, oh yeah, we should go get a grant. Okay, because grants are just what they are. They're grants.
They are.
You have to pay 'em back.
They are. Okay. This is the end of our formal Q&A portion. So we're going to cut the feed now, but we're going to stick around and ask whatever questions you have the rest of the time we're all here tonight. The library does close at 9 o'clock. So just keep that in mind, but thank you so much for this. We are all staying here. You have us. There's also 24 donuts. Please help yourself. And thank you again for being here, for speaking to us, for asking these great questions of our architecture team. That's it. Thank you.